advertisement for yourself, because you never know who the heck is going to be on the job. Some people will brand their stage kind of like that trailer is wrapped with their company, but when it's open, nobody sees that. So to put banners up that are promoting your website or promoting a hashtag, especially when somebody wants a good deal, it's hey, you want me to knock off X amount of bucks? We can, can I have permission to put up my banners? This is what they look like, and again, you never know who's going to be walking in the crowd looking and saying, oh, well, who owns the stage, where can I rent it? And it's a perfect opportunity for you to have a promotion out to the crowd to get more gigs.
Very cool.
I just say, okay, if your sponsorship package is $5,000, since it's going to be a trade, I get the whole $5,000 for $1,000, and then I get social media things, I get a sponsor, and then the other reason, like when we were at porta potties, I asked them to use my Facebook as their customer service. One, that all the porta potty complaints come to me versus the client.
That's actually a really good idea. That's a good strategy.
So then I can kill the complaint before it gets to the promoter.
That is a very good strategy. So if you guys didn't hear what she said, she asked for a sponsorship package if people are asking for a better price, and then she can leverage a little bit of a discount for more value. So she was saying if it's a $5,000 sponsorship package and she takes $1,000 off the price, I'm sure it's a pretty decent contract if she's providing stage and porta potties and all this stuff. So you could leverage like $1,000 off the bill and get a $5,000 sponsorship package that includes their social media, maybe some prominent signage positions, and that's definitely a good way to leverage to be a participant. And the producers love that.
And like go for bar mitzvahs or birthday parties or something. You don't have to make your messaging be, oh, I'm just for my stages, because you want to know who your audience is.
I have a few questions for you. How about a big round of applause for Jack, first of all? Give him a big round of applause. He's an expert in the field. The production company that he's a part of is called Tower Productions, and Elliot is over here, and Russell also. Put your hand up, Russell. These guys are part of a production company called Tower Productions, and they rent furniture, they rent dance floors, they have stage decks, they do sound, lighting, audio, they have a full upholstery house, and Jack runs, and he's a partner in their printing division, which is called Abstract Designs, and he does some pretty amazing work, from wrapping dance floors, because they rent a lot of dance floors. People get married and they want their name in decals on the dance floor. He was talking about, from time to time, we do some pretty big live broadcast events, and when they have the jib cameras that are up on a crane, they get that big overhead shot of the stage floor. So that's a perfect thing. For like the Today Show, we've done stuff with the Citibank logo on the ground of the stage, and when they do that big overhead shot, it's just things you can think about. If you're doing a live broadcast event. Go ahead. Well, it depends. Sometimes it's a decal, right? A stickable decal.
Most of the time it's a decal.
Yeah, sometimes it's actual like a Marley type of rubber surface that just gets rolled out and it gets gaff taped along the sides. It depends. If it's a one-time use, it's just a decal and just gets pulled up and thrown away. If it's something for multi-use, it's printed on a surface that's durable. There's actually a few stuff. There's stuff that you can do a reverse print. And it's actually, this way you can't scratch it off. It's reverse printed on a clear type surface. So there's definitely a lot of ways to do it. I know for a fact on the Today Show, they're using it for like 30 shows in a season. So they want to be able to roll it in, roll it out, tape it up, store it, wait till the next show to roll it out, and just gaff tape it along the sides. And it's amazing what black gaff tapes in television cameras hide. So you would never think that stuff's pieced together, but when you see it on TV, it just looks like $1 million. Yeah, I mean, from even furniture, I've seen them do some wild stuff on bars, like mobile bars, branding out mobile bars. Those are just really cool things. We always got to think about how we can elevate our business, how we can create more revenue. And there's always these little things, from adding printing to even adding a VIP area. This is my tent. I own this tent. The only reason I bought it is because I wanted to be a one-stop shop. I wanted to be able to, and I don't own anything bigger than this because I don't want to be a tent company, but this is a great backstage VIP area. Put walls around it, throw some tables in here, maybe throw some bars. If there's a big sponsor, a liquor sponsor, we could brand out the bar. It's just different ways that you could, increase the value of your package when you're selling. So, how many audio engineers are here? I'm talking about real mix guys that are behind the consoles and like are really into mixing sound and yeah. And how many people offer sound but are not audio engineers? Maybe they have a sound. Well, you have every sound system in the universe, Fish. It doesn't count.
Oh man.
So like there's a few of us here. I have sound. I'm not really an audio engineer, although I know I can do it. It's not something that I'm passionate about. Not something that it's just not my thing. I'd rather be in the office selling and marketing and getting the phones to ring. But I mean that's cool. I mean offering sound, offering lighting, offering the banners, offering the VIP areas, thinking outside the box, using your stage for live broadcast events with a news desk and the cameras on there, using it as a parade reviewing stand. Any other creative ideas besides a musical event that you can use a mobile stage for? Maybe there's things I'm not thinking about.
I do a lot of cooking demos.
Yes, cooking demos is really big. I've done a handful of them. We actually, we set up a whole kitchen on the stage and we put like angled mirrors so people, when they look on the stage right above the chef, you can see what the chef is actually doing. Have you ever done that with the angled mirrors above? Yeah, you could get sliding door mirrors at Home Depot for like 99 bucks. Hang them on an angle, and they look really, really great, one next to the other. And when people come to the stage, they can physically look through the reflection of the mirror and see what the chef is cooking up on the stage. So, go ahead.
I sent your stage to do an engagement dinner.
Right, he sent one of our stages to do an engagement dinner. So what they wanted to do for that event is they wanted to roll the stage up in a remote location and have a special engagement or a special dinner, like a real intimate dinner on the waterfront somewhere where there was actual a proposal. Somebody was proposing for somebody to get married. So they put chandeliers and they hung drapes and they just made it like a real intimate type of space where they just had a special dinner. It was like 5-6 courses and the white glove, silver tray type service. And it was definitely a very, very creative thing. We've actually used it also as like a flat kit.
Don't do a cooking show on your stage. The guy walked away during lunch. He left the oil on. The oil burst into flames. Flames on the stage. Flames were in front of the thing in Banner in Nashville, Tennessee, and that's the last time I allowed oil on the stage. But you can if you want.
All right, as long as you're safe, I think that that we can do some type of cooking. You just got to be aware. You got to have fire suppression or fire extinguishers around the area. It's probably one of the things that I think a lot of people go scrambling for. Especially if you have a generator. It's like, where's the fire extinguisher? Did you put it? Then you take it out of the truck and you get pulled over by the DOTs and they're like, where's your fire extinguisher? It's like, oh, we left it at the last event or it wasn't charged all the way. Anyway, that's a whole other story. But another thing that mobile stages can be used for is a VIP area, flanking a stage. It's a perfect, especially for a big stage like this, flanking it on an angle where now people are elevated, they have a direct view over the crowd. It's a premium type ticket price, and some people they don't want to be in the middle of the crowd, but they still want to feel like they're part of the action, where there's bottle service on the stage, and I'd like to get everybody thinking about different ways that you can use your stage for different purposes.
Backyard parties, bar mitzvahs, backyard weddings. If you have a light enough stage, some of these 20-footers, you can get into those kind of things. And,
yeah.
If a wedding's gonna go on, they're gonna pay the band $1,500. Put a nice stage up there, do that, and then your wedding party can sit up there during the dinner time, and there's some nice things you can do with that. So,
yeah, it could be used as a dais for a dinner party, for a wedding. It could be, there's so many different uses for our mobile stages that we just got to keep thinking about. Because automatically people even come and they just walk through and it's like, oh, that's a concert stage. But it's not. I mean, if it's what you can imagine it being. Go ahead.
There's sometimes that for New York City Pride we use the stage, and instead of getting a large bleacher type experience, we used it where we it out and we put decks in the front and we did like layered decks as if they were
Right, like a tiered seating riser
And
system.
then they sell that for a certain amount of price, and they have vendors there to brand out the stage, and it's nice because people feel that when they're sitting on an actual chair on an actual stage where they can see something coming at them, there's so much more that you can do.
Right, especially if they're covered from the sun or the rain, you know, that's always a big, big plus. Any other ideas for using a mobile stage that we could share and maybe pitch to our clients in the future?
Show that picture with the red drape.
It's dead.
Which one?
Broadway show theater with the red drape.
Columbus Day Parade.
Oh yeah, actually, you know, okay, if you see this stage, that was used for a live broadcast stage. We put drapes on it, like theater drapes. We draped we even draped the ceiling. A lot of the live broadcast stuff that we do, they don't want to see any aluminum because the aluminum reflects the light, and the camera just grabs that light, and it's almost sometimes becomes an eyesore to the camera eye, especially when you have a director or somebody that's the director of photography or they're in charge of the actual shot. We have a lot of live broadcast events where they're like, hey, can you get rid of this truss? It's kind of an eyesore. We need it to be a little more clean. And that's just a solution where we put drape up in the ceiling. We draped up the whole front of the stage, and we added the banners. That's actually for the Columbus Day Parade on 5th Avenue in New York City. Usually there's a red carpet in the front, like the one next to it. They go all out. And actually next to that stage is a smaller stage that is the broadcast stage where the news desk and the cameras are protected from the elements. And usually we set that up the day before because they want to test all their signal, run all their power, and just make sure that when they go live, everything's perfect. But usually on a real deal live broadcast event, we're coming in a day or two before just to test all those signals because, first of all, usually in a live broadcast event, we're dealing with, especially in New York City, union labor, and it's very expensive, and they just want to make sure that there's they always have redundant power, backup TV trucks. It's always backup for the backup. You can never be too prepared, especially in a live broadcast event. And we do live events, right? So in live events, there really are no do-overs, right? So you have to make sure that it's right. Even in sound, that we do a sound check, but when it comes to the real live performance, you don't get a do-over when it's live and when it's on TV. It doesn't even have to be on TV. How about just live in the audience? You know, we do sound checks to make sure that there's going to be no feedback, that we checked all the frequencies and all the monitors were wrung out. I mean, all this time and preparation is really, really important. So in live events, there are no do-overs. What's up, Fish?
Yeah, if you're going to do a broadcast live event, show up mad early. If they want you there at
Mad
6
early
a.m.,
means very early?
go there.
Okay.
Early's on time, on
All right,
time's
yeah.
late. Early's on time, on time's late. Early's on time, on time's late. You show up 4 or 5 hours ahead. Because if you show up late to a live broadcast, the cost of these guys getting $80 and $90 per hour times 30 or 40 people, it gets very, very expensive.
He's absolutely right. Live broadcast events, like we show up and like we're waiting for them. They should never be waiting for you. That's the easiest way to lose clients. You know, and it's so difficult to get clients, right? So we try really hard. We try to give the best competitive price. We put all this effort into marketing. We put all this time in on the phone, making sure we're pleasing and then responding quickly. And you get the deal, and it takes a lot of effort to get that deal. And one stupid little thing, even after doing something for 3 and 4 and 5 years, one stupid little thing, the guy showing up late, maybe a guy smoking a cigarette when he wasn't supposed to, maybe, I mean, there's 100 things that can go wrong, but that one stupid thing could make you lose a contract for a long time. And that the number one stupid thing that you can do is just to show up late and not be there when you were supposed to.
Early's
So,
on time.
you know, and unfortunately, we do a lot of jobs in New York City. There's always traffic. We always have to account for that. We always have to leave super early. But hey, I'd rather be there sitting in the truck waiting for stuff to happen than somebody like breathing on down my neck, texting me, calling me, hey, where are you? Where are you? Or, you know, I'm not on the event and I get the call, where's the crew? Where's the crew? Right, Boz? We deal with that all the time. Boz is a Brooklyn, New York City guy. He does a lot of big events all over the place, not just New York City, but New York City moves pretty quickly, and you know, being on time is really, really critical. A lot of stuff happens in the New York Minute for sure. All right, so I guess this is the prelude to our last session here, which is all about the women that make it happen in the mobile stage industry. You know, it's incredible. I'm the type of guy who can only do one thing at a time. You know, my girls at the office, they can do 7 things at one time. I'm only a one time, you know, at a time guy. You can't be talking. If I'm on the phone, you can't come and talk to me about anything else. If I'm even sending a text and you come up and try to talk to me, it's like, I'll have to stop you and say, after you're like into your 7th paragraph of telling me something, I'm like, all right, you're gonna have to start over again. Now you have my attention. But when it comes to women, I think that they juggle a lot more than us men can. Some men can do it. I don't know if it's a horoscope type thing or just a certain type of program in our minds. But what I'd like to do is introduce, come on up here, all the women that are part of the mobile stage industry and the panel. Give them a big round of applause. They're going to introduce themselves one by one. I know that we've had some good topics and questions that we're going to be asking. So girls, thanks for being here and thanks for helping closing out the show. So we have
ADA approved for short pillow.
No, I know, I had a hard time.
Where's the footstool? Where's
We
the
have
apple box?
Elizabeth Flynn, known as Tish. We have Adriana Leno, my niece. She kind of they both helped put together the show and run a lot of stuff for us. Michelle McCrae makes it happen for Century Industries for many years. Definitely a pioneer in the industry. She really knows what she's talking about. One of my favorite things about her is she is not afraid to put on gloves and set up a mobile stage. Even though Century makes it really easy to do, I could definitely see her getting down on an Apex stage if she needed to. And that's something awesome. That's something not all women are ready to do that, but she's not afraid, and I highly respect that. And thanks for being here, Michelle.
Guys just texted over, we're going to hold on 45 minutes and you can help.
Yeah, I think Becky is the same type of mentality. She has maybe not as much, but I can picture you in your younger years going up, being a one-man person, setting up a whole bunch of carnival rides all by yourself and making it happen.
She knows how to work it.
All you need is this one thing.
All you need is this, the finger. Go there, and go there. Tell them,
Oh, I
Becky.
think you definitely got good at that as years have gone on. Definitely, Becky from G-Biz, the Atlanta area. Thanks for being here, and also Diana from Iowa Mobile Stage M&D Sound. Thanks for being here. I think we have a really nice panel that represents a bunch of different parts of our country and a lot of different experiences. Although coming from our industry, we kind of have similar experiences, and I'm just really excited to share all of this with you. So thanks for being here. This is our last session. We're gonna have a few more things to do and have a few more beers and network more. But stick around for this. Please don't walk away. This is gonna be a pretty good deal. All right, so we'll start with intros. What I want you to do is just state your name, where you're from, what you do on a daily basis to help the business or the industry, and we'll keep going down the line.
You want to start it? Yeah.
Okay, I'm Diana Lage. I'm from a little town called Sheffield, Iowa. It's about halfway between Minneapolis, Minnesota, and Des Moines, Iowa. So we're literally in the cornfield. My husband and I have 3 mobile stages and a sound company, and probably my primary job is to do the accounting, do the quotes, talk to the clients. I try to get the phone calls before he does because he's got many things to do, so he talks to them later. They got to get through me first, and if they're not worth talking to, then he doesn't need to waste his time. Salesmen are the same thing, because a lot of salesmen call you for no good reason. And yes, and then we do some installations in the off season, because in northern Iowa, our season is from Memorial Day to September. So in the off season, we do some installations. So I do the ordering, talk to the salesmen, do the quotes for those. And then during the season, I do set up stages. I do set up sound systems. I run a lot of times Michael set up this sound, but I might mix the shows if it's not a huge technical thing because he's tired by then, needs a break, and I can do that. so yeah, I do whatever needs to be done.
Did you have a list of questions we're supposed to answer? Okay, my name is Becky Guthrie. The name G-Biz came from my carnival we started in 2001. Its name was Jules and Bag. So G-Biz came from J&B. So we, what do I do? I don't do anything.
Yes.
I'll be honest. I can't do anything, and I don't do anything. And at least I say that.
What is done to you?
Nothing's done to me either. So I wish this is being videoed, and I want to make sure this is on the video. My better part husband, Bill Ward, he is the hard worker. He's the one who actually is out there. He's the one who likes to touch everything. And I want to make sure I can send this video to him. And he is also the one that makes it happen. I can come up with the impossible, like Walt Disney crazy dreams, and he can come up with, this is how we're actually going to wire it. And so that's my role. My other role is I'm trying to think of new ways to make money. This is also a problem sometimes with my partner. I was taught from a young age, you can spend as much money as you want, you just better know how to make more. So sometimes so I'm always looking for new ways to make money. And that's my role. I'm very fortunate that I've had good help and I've had bad help. And I try to take bad help and make them good, but I'm not always successful, and I'm very good at failing. I like to fail because I usually learn something. So if you want to know that about me, that's what I do. Nothing.
Hello everybody, my name is Adriana Leno. I am with Mobile Stage Network. This is my third conference, Mobile Stage Conference. And basically what I do on a daily basis, I am responsible for a long list of things. I answer the phones, I maintain the calendar in Google, so basically I'm the one that can answer what stages we have available, when, and things like that. So I also send quotes. I deal with maintaining driver files, employee files, accounts payable, accounts receivable, all that really fun stuff. I do go to setups sometimes, but I always end up getting hurt for some reason. I walk into a pole or slip on something, a wire. But yeah, my goal this year is to really be able to go on these events and actually see the other side of being, at the events, the production, and how things kind of go from start to finish. So not always be in the office, but and I think that can help me when I sell as well. Upselling, and actually when we find out like how long things take, and that can kind of put things into more better perspective for me when I sell. So thank you very much.
Hi guys, my name is Michelle McCray, and I'm with Century Industries. I've been with the company for around 16 years, so I continuously still learn a lot, even though I've been in the industry for quite some time. My role there is quite a number of things there at Century. I first kind of have a design background in engineering. Started engineering with Century for a couple of years, and then kind of broke into the sales part of it. Never thought that was going to be a long-term thing. I thought I was going to probably do it for a couple of years and then move on to doing some other things. But it's been a very rewarding job with some very lovely customers that I have absolutely adored and have made some long life friendships out of it, and I think that's better than any sales I can make is the friendship. It's just, I met a lot of people here that aren't even customers yet, and I'm hoping that one day we can become friends as well. So you guys are all lovely, and I appreciate the heartwarm welcoming for us, because this is our first year here. So a little bit of background about kind of what I do. I do a lot of training with customers. Any customer that purchases a stage from me, I have to go out to the field and I have to show them how to set up the stage, how to rig up their lights, how to rig up their sound equipment. I also have to go through certification process with all of them as well. Of course, we've all heard that's very important to have a safety process and plan and make sure that people can operate their stage without getting hurt, and also the performers not getting hurt as well. So very important. That's kind of what we focus around is safety. I do lots of bids, lots of quotes, lots of phone calls, service and repairs. Customers will call me and they need some things, and I have to make sure that they're taken care of as well. Production's very busy, and a lot of times they can't get to the phones. Of course, the customer calls me, then I have to click the chain and make sure they're taken care of. So anyhow, I want to just quickly say too, before the end of this conference, we're gonna, me and Bob's been taking down the stage. We're gonna link the floor and the canopy, and we're gonna operate it so you guys can get a better feel for how it operates. Yesterday we were a little limited because we had a lot of the banners and stuff on the front. So if you're gonna want to see it, stick around for a little bit. It won't take that long. And if you have any more questions, you're welcome to give us walk up and ask us questions. So thank you again, guys.
My name is Elizabeth Flynn. A lot of people call me Tish, so I go by Tish mostly. I have a funny degree that has nothing to do, I'm sure some people have, but I have a funny degree that has nothing to do with what I actually do now. I went to college for a long period of time. I have a master's in elementary education, which I feel like sometimes is super imperative and useful for things that I do day to day, people that you do day to day, as far as interpersonal relationships. So sometimes I'll feel like I wasted hundreds of thousands of dollars, but sometimes I feel like I really spent was well spent. I worked for Mobile Stage as Director of Operations for about a year. Coming in, I have an extremely extensive logistical background. I've done, for Insomniac, who's owned by Live Nation, I've done Electric Daisy Carnival, I've done all of their artist relations, festival logistics operations, Electric Zoo, which is on Randall's Island during Labor Day weekend. I am the artist relations and logistical manager for that. From freelance to front of house nightclubs and things like that. I've been working in nightclubs and events and production events since I was about 14 years old, way too young to be in the clubs that I was working in. Jay can also attest to that, he was also there. So day to day I feel like I can add a lot of, Adriana recently went to Colombia on a vacation for 3 weeks. So it was kind of nice and threw me into the fire for some things that I didn't know that I would be able. She worked for a long time to get the vacation. So she went away, and it's nice to be able to work also with another female in the office that we both can learn what each other do and cover each other's slack when we're not around. So we do like phones, I do the schedule. Adriana will book the job, tell them what we're going to get for the job, and I make sure that we get the people and things that we need to get to the job, at the best price, the best price. I'm usually the 3 a.m. phone call, or the, oh my God, I'm not there on time phone call. Usually Mike will say about 100 times a day, this is an operations issue. So whatever we decide is an operations issue, it becomes one. Yeah, that's it. I'm happy. I just want to thank you guys all for being here. I know that I spoke to a lot of you before coming. It's really nice to see something come to fruition that I know that our team worked really hard on together, but I worked on really hard personally. And I just want to thank you guys for coming and be so engaging, and just to let our team and myself see the fruit of our labor and see how much information and how much networking relationships everyone has brought together here, being here this weekend.
have some prepared questions here. So I'm not sure who's going to start or who's going to answer. I don't know if we'll go down the line. Feel free to raise your hand if you want to answer this question. So what is the biggest challenges that you see in the mobile stage industry at the moment?
Labor. Yes.
Training.
Yeah, well, this is kind of something me and Bob were talking about since we've been here. Is more like some of you guys don't have enough guys, like drivers and set up crew and things like that, and then try to figure out if you did have that, what it would cost to have that. Because it's a major cost from what I've been hearing. So I think that was one of the biggest issues I've heard people talk about is just their trials that they run into with having the man crew and the staff to handle their events. So that's my opinion on that question.
I'd like to add on to that a little bit, and this is an overarching dilemma, I think, across the country with all small businesses, and I would use the term regulation, but it's not the safety regulations, it's all the 40 million regulations, from health insurance to taxes to governmental, and even accountants don't know all the rules, and it goes just like why medical is so expensive now. You have to have 4 people in the office to have 1 person producing. But that 1 person producing your actual product has got to pay for the 4 people in the office, but the end user only sees the 1 person. And because I think that is one of the biggest problems is that you have to operate just like Hewlett-Packard with 401ks and all that kind of stuff, but we don't have the staff of Hewlett-Packard.
I have a little touch. I have one of my main thing is streamlining. As far as communication wise, I feel like it's always a did you text, did you email, did you call type of thing. I feel like just getting everyone on the same page as far as like how your business decides to communicate. Like, are you going to base your stuff on a Google Doc or like a system or like an Intel event or like a marketing something? I feel like that is the major issue I feel sometimes for us in our office is you find a way to communicate where everyone feels comfortable and confident to be able to get all the information in one way instead of having it all ways.
Millennials need to learn to pick up the phone and call you if it's an emergency.
I agree sometimes.
If it's an email has got the word mail in it. So I tell people, if you send me an email, you don't get 24-hour return. Because I'm not sitting in front of my phone, and on an iPhone, it doesn't take out the spam, so between 200 emails, I'm going to lose it. And a text, yes, I'm more likely to return it, but if it's a true emergency, you better call and text.
I feel like I've learned a lot about patience as far as that goes. I'm the kind of person that constantly has my iPhone attached to my hand. I'm not sure if it's a blessing or a curse. I usually have Michelle can attest, I usually have a really, really quick turnaround, as is Adriana, but I feel like sometimes that causes a little bit of a crutch where like, do you answer right away at 2 o'clock in the morning? Like, because then they're always going to expect you to answer at 2 o'clock in the morning. You know what I mean? So it's, but also you have to understand that not everyone is going to have the same, like, an urgency on your part does not warrant an emergency on my part.
Your failure to plan is not my problem.
Right. Like that type of thing.
Did you have problems?
I was agreeing with the labor issue. We're a small business, you know, we don't need people necessarily all week long, but you in order to get qualified people, they want, you know, full time or close to it. So, but we gotta have crew on the weekends, or like, you know, say starting Thursday to start loading and yeah, it's hard to find. And like I said, we're in a small market, so there's not a lot of people to pull from sometimes either.
That's the whole reason why we bought the porta potty company. It totally is the whole reason we bought the porta potty company, was so that we could keep CDL drivers working all week, because we couldn't rely only on the drivers that we were their second job.
And I feel like Adriana can probably speak to it a lot more. There are times that we're both double dipping to our guys, so like we'll see like who answers first. It's always like, trust me, we're extremely less than fortunate to have guys that will ride or die for us all year, and they do other things and they find other time, but when we need them, we're very lucky. But there are times that we'll sit there, and I feel like drivers is always a big issue for us, because you sit there and you're like, I could find 25 stagehands if I really needed it, but if I'm going to find a driver that's going to drive a 3-ton stage that isn't going to mess it up, that's the big issue. Like, you're going to sit there and you're going to be like, are you a great driver? Are you safe? Are they reliable? It's so many different checks and balances on the list.
Funny story. My dad had 2 of the best drivers in the world. They were the perfect image of truck driver. They were 425 pounds. They were every image you have of truck driver. So in order to keep his, he sent his to QuickBooks school, because they definitely weren't going to get up and move a piece of equipment. They were too fat to do that. But they literally liked sitting in a chair all day long, so they sat in a chair and entered receipts. So that's if you can find a guy or something like that. Think of like what else his personality could do, and then repurpose them.
Very good, very good. All right, let's see. We have a few more questions here. So what is one piece of practical advice that you would give to someone that's just starting out in the mobile stage industry?
Okay. My advice, if you are a right-hand man like me or Tish, somebody like Mike Leno or anybody that is busy all the time and, you know, can't be bothered with little things, you need to have patience. Patience is key. Things change on a day-to-day. Following up on things is a big issue. It can be if you don't. Things like that, like just patience. Organization is key. If you're not an organized person, I understand. My room is not organized, but my desk is. Like, I need organization. It doesn't matter if I have to go to Staples 3 times a week to get something I forgot, and I need organization. It helps the chain of things and the flow of the office.
I feel like not everyone is as lucky as Adrian and I are. Like, some people don't. I mean, we didn't know each other before we started working together. Mike knew that we would get along, but we're also both very strong-willed, driven, organized people, where sometimes people, it's hard when you go into a space. I know me being new, and I'm also the only person that is not related to anyone that works in my office, and they're all related to each other. I know that it's harder, but we very luckily really get along, and I know that I call Adrian my lifeline every day. So if there's somebody else in your office, especially as a female working in an office, I try to keep it pretty gender neutral, but I feel like especially as a female in the office, if you have somebody else that works with you, another female, like to be able to like lean on someone and sit there and have like a fest of like just like venting, like a vent fest or whatever. I feel like it's super, super important to be able to lean on the person that you work with and understand that like the communication, like there's been time that we've like hashed things out and we're like, wait a minute, and you get like heated for a little bit, but you understand that your common goal is exactly the same.
Yeah, and I'm happy because I was the only girl. I was the only woman. I was the only one in the office anywhere. So to have somebody else that's now they're starting to understand when I say things, and I'm not lying, and it's not excuses.
We use it.
We're like different needs for women.
And we'll say it. We'll be like before it would be like, if let's just say someone in the office would be like, we didn't say that. I'll be like, Adrian, you heard me. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Sit there and
now
like
we have. It's like proof. Like, you know, like. Yeah. You know you heard that, right? It's like, okay, yeah, you heard that. We kind of make eye contact, and we get that kind of, you know, we get the full, like, we understand each other, so I'm lucky.
I might have a little different experience. I never knew the difference. Well, I mean, I know physically the difference, but I never knew a difference. My education's in finance, and in college, there were 5 girls in the finance department. There were 500 in accounting, but in finance, there were 5 of us. I worked at Deutsche Bank. I was the only female in the Yamaha division. We financed Yamaha dealers. I was their portfolio manager. So when I worked for Feld Entertainment, not only was I one of the few females, I was one of the few Gentiles. So so then when I got to the carnival business, by that point, I just didn't know. And so one of the problems, I think, this is societal, is I think men, boy, I'm trying not to get hit here. Men are becoming weak, and I'm telling you, you better buckle up or something. My office is now more women because the last 4 guys that worked in my office, I was not going to sit and listen to them crying bitch. And so they didn't last. My husband pulled me a little bit off the operations department because either do your job or don't get paid. Don't take my money. So I don't, and I'm not being bitchy, and I don't care if you call me that, but I respect you if you do your job. So man up, as I say. There's no room for, so my 5 lessons here for a new person, there's no room for tears, save them for your pillow. 2, time is money. So if you gotta pay somebody to do something because you're a one-man show, it's worth it. Know your value of your time. 3, 80-20 rule. Where does your money come from? Make sure you spend 80% of your time on that. Don't get wasted. Don't. So, 4, make friends with your financiers, your bankers, Firestone Financial, Sunbelt Financial. Make friends with them. Be nice. And if you can't make your payment, call them and tell them. Pay $1. Keep them informed because they want you to succeed. Don't be afraid of those guys. A lot of people starting out, they're afraid, oh, I'm not going to make my payment, blah, blah, blah. Just call them, tell them what's going on. They want you to succeed. And then lastly, know your limits. Know what you can't do. And then get people that can do that around you. Like I literally just had a bitch session in my office and I let them all stand up at the timer for 3 minutes. Go. You call me any name you want. And then at the end of the day, I said, look, the reason you're all here is 1, you're here at 7 in the morning every morning. I'm never there at 7. I was late for every day here. 2, you don't talk. You sit at that desk and you don't move, you just all day long. That's why you're there, because I talk all the time. So hire the people that do the things that you don't.
Yeah, good advice.
So I'm going to kind of come at it from a different perspective of if you're the wife and maybe starting, your husband wants to start out. When my husband decided to start getting sound gear, it was a howdy kind of thing, and because that's what he always kind of wanted to do when he was a teenager and early 20s. And it kept growing and growing, and I finally said, if you're going to keep buying, we need to make a business out of this so I can write this off. So I became supportive of what he really wanted to do, but I kept working. I always work part-time because I'm not really I need flexibility. But, so I kept working. And then the business started growing, and I said, I don't have time to work. I need to be here. So I guess my biggest thing is be supportive of if that's what they want to do. If you can't help them now, we do everything together. I'm out there with him. He's in the office with me if I need help, but I'm out there in the shop with him when he needs help. So we do stuff together. I know not everybody can do that, but at least be support. If you're a woman married to a guy who's just getting started, be supportive. Let him try, and hopefully it works.
Anybody have any questions for our panel? No? Come on, guys, no? No? Yeah, Shane, what do you got? Don't be shy.
I have more of a comment, and it's just that.
Wait, hold on, let's get you on the mic.
All right.
I have more of a comment, and it's that we do have on our crew list, it's kind of fun, we have a green section, and those are all my A1s, and then we have a pink section, those are all ladies. And I actually really like having ladies on the crew. I mean, obviously, some of the stuff we do is heavy lifting, you know, things that are two-man lifts. You know, the right kind of woman can do that. That's fine. These things aren't that heavy, and you know, we all want to be safe, right?
I know a girl that can move a flying box with one guy.
Right. So.
And she's petite.
Right.
I can't do it, but she can.
When people lift smartly, my wife has helped me break down stages, and you've all seen her. Pretty small lady. But it also has to do with just the attitude on the event day. I know that my guys act a little better and are a little bit more driven when the lady's there. And even though she's one of the guys, there's fewer dick jokes. There's fewer these. It's all like. There's more respect, and there's just a little bit more. They're almost more willing to step up. So. I like having the ladies on the crew, and I'd like to get more ladies on the crew. It is kind of hard. It just is what it is, right? They're a little bit less willing to do those, but they're invaluable. So if you can get a lady that's into the production side of things, I love them. I think they're great, and I wish there were more of them. But I certainly try to use them when I can, and I'd love to develop them more because they make my guys better. And you just have that effect on guys in the. Does that make sense? I don't know if anybody else kind of gets that same.
Well, aren't you better when you know your mom is going to hear about what you did?
To that respect, just give you, University of South Carolina has one of the top event marketing and event management programs, and it's actually run by Frank Roach, who was a former Feld Entertainment executive years ago. So if you want interns, it's a good place to post for interns, and then you can develop them. And then I bizarrely ran into this one, Berry College in Rome, Georgia. I know there's a guy here from Rome. They have a very, very good theater department that breaks down the course syllabus to stage handling, I was like, okay. So it's a good way to, and there's girls and guys in there, you know, so then you can get a good mix.
So one of our best workers, and we don't even pay her, she's a volunteer who just likes to tag around with us to the events, is a 63-year-old petite, she's
90 pounds maybe.
Yeah, she's like my height or maybe even a little shorter, and but she's strong, very willing, very social. So as soon as you go on you get to a site, she's asking everybody's name, seeing what they do, where they're from, and she remembers it. And so she's helping us, and then the next year when she goes back again, she'll ask them how their family was and all that kind of stuff. And then she also keeps us hydrated because we're usually working, and Michael especially, I'm too busy to stop for water, and she can make him sit down and drink a bottle of water if he needs to. It's the personality. Like he wouldn't take that from a guy saying that to him, but having her around, and it just makes everything lighter. I think, like you said, it's on the day of when you're setting up or the day of the show or whatever. It's just kind of the language is better, the atmosphere is better. She's got relationships with everybody who's around, so everybody's just calm and if they need something, we can go ask this person or whatever, because they've all talked. So I agree with what Skinny was saying.
All right, so we have another prepared question here. It's the last one. Let's see. What are common misconceptions that people have, and how can we combat these misconceptions and communicate more effectively?
I think that a number one common misconception, I think that, correct me if I'm wrong, I can speak for all of us, is that we only work in the office. That we only work and answer the phone. I feel like that's a common.
Like we're only a secretary.
That we're only a secretary. There's times where like Adrian and I will be on site and be like, oh, are you the secretary? And we're like, no.
I say yes.
Yes. I mean, yeah, a secretary, an accountant, an operations, a manager, you know what I mean? I feel like there are times that we'll be on site. I feel like a lot of times like, we have really great guys, as I said before, but there's times that we're on site where like, if you need to be a random fly-by-night, never done it before, audio guy, or like a video tech, or like an AV, whatever, I feel like we're usually the first people to be like, I'll try it, I'll do it, I can help you load in. Well, that might love to YouTube. There's always times we'll always make sure that, I don't know, I feel like we have a very underlining thing in our office where like everybody can eat. Especially like looking around this room about talking about like, oh, this one or that one or whatever. I feel like it's a common misconception that we don't want you to get something because we want to get it. That it's like a little bit more of a greedy thing. And we've said it, if I had $1 for every time I said in the office that everybody can eat, it's like if there's something that we can't do that we know that you can do better than us and we can work together and build that type of networking relationship, we would rather do that. There are stuff and jobs that Mike will say, yeah, we could do it, and I'm like, I don't want to do that. We get, you know what I mean? Let's find somebody who can really do it great and really knock it out of the park and build that relationship. I feel like some people, there are some people still in the industry that would rather be more competitive as far as like, I want to get it against you instead of being like, can you do it better than me? And can you teach me how to do it better than I do it? Because I say a lot, I said if you evolve or dissolve, either you learn how to do it better than somebody else or the same or a different way to do it, or you are never going to do it in 5 years.
What was the question?
I'm going to go on the flip side of and this is not a north-south thing. I don't want to lift those poles. I admit it. I don't want to. So, I mean, so one of the things, I'm trying to be politically correct here. One of the things is everybody, if you're a female out there, they think, oh, she's, boy, I'm gonna use, is this politically incorrect? Am I allowed to use the D-I-K-E word? Am I allowed to say that?
Yeah, we're good.
Okay.
Like Butch, you can say Butch.
Butch, okay. And I'm not a prissy priss either. I mean, my mom actually still tells me to brush my hair. But it's okay for you to do it, and when people come up and they're like, oh, she's, you know, one guy told me, he goes, you're just unisex. Because I don't wear spandex dresses, one, I don't look good in them, and so just because you don't have to treat people differently, we're just people, I mean, and that's what I'm saying is like, I'm not trying to compete against you, you can lift more and I'm happy for it. I can text faster, and I can talk to anybody, and you can't, so you know what I'm saying, so that's why I don't have, you know, like girls club and whatever, you know, we're all together. But I do believe in buying different uniforms for females. And I have shifted from buying just from chestnut t-shirts. I started using Lands' End because they have a plus department and a petite department, because a poorly fit shirt on a girl looks really bad. I mean, really bad. So that's the only thing that I have moved away from is for girls versus men, or women versus men, or whatever you want to call it. Yeah. So as a misconception, buy 2 different types of shirts.
I really don't like black. I
Well, my crew's mad because I do navy instead of black. I think I wore black too much in the 90s, so I'm in the navy now. Any other misconceptions?
No, I'd like to get into like daily workflow type of deals. Are there any things that you might use, tools that help run the day-to-day operations in the office, the way that you share information? Maybe you could educate and enlighten all of us, not just the women, but the men here. Maybe certain technologies you might use. Do you like to use Word, or do you like to use Google Docs? Do you like to use, just...
I was telling Fish this. We found a program called Equip Calendar, $69 for the year, and we didn't have a problem with the stage. When we got the porta potties, it became a problem because when you got 250 porta potties, you don't know if you're out, you're in, how many are going where. But Equip Calendar, it's a guy named Scott who made it for himself. It does invoicing, work orders, drop off, pickup orders. I've dealt with him personally to make a few adaptations to make it easier. And then we also created a thing called Podio, Podio.com. It's free for less than 5 people with the same email. But what it is a cloud-based platform that has calendar, tasks, and it's basically you create your own apps. And when I say create your own apps, I'm not a computer whiz, so it's very simple. And so you can then share it internally, and then you can make workbooks where you can share it with each event. So, like on bigger events, I've literally gone in and created a workbook and said, look, event, this is our organization. So you can put purchase order, I can create in 5 minutes a little form for purchase orders and this and that, so that I can share it without sharing all my data for my company to them. And like I said, if you have less than five internal people, it's free. At the most, it's $20 a month. I did pay for a while the $99 a month, just so that I could get the premier person to teach me. But it's great.
What's the first one again?
EquipCalendar.com, Calendar.com.
What's the second?
Podio, Podio.com. It just got purchased by, it was, I think from Denmark or something. It just got purchased by Centrix. And so there's a lot of new things that are adding on to it, and then you can link it with it through Zapier, and then you can create Gobi flows. So like once I change the status of a deal to insurance certificate received, it automatically sends an email out. It says, thank you, we got your insurance certificate. Don't forget, it's just a few weeks until your event. Your balance is, and I don't have to, all I do is change the status of the event, and it automatically does that. But to get all those workflows, processes, for about 6 months, I paid the $99 to learn it well.
We use Intelligent in our office. That is our main. I feel like there's always a way with systems like that. I feel like there's always a way. Intelligent offers that every Wednesday you can sign up for an online session for them to teach you something new. I mean, there's probably so many people in this room that have a operating system as far as like how you do your quotes and invoices that you are not using to its max potential that you can use it for. I know we are also guilty for that. But there's always something to learn. Even if you can always call your customer service and ask. I know that we use that for our quotes. Adriana is Intelligent nightmares. Like she lives, breathes Intelligent. She did Intelligent all day long. Google Docs is huge for us. When I first started with Mobile Stage, that was like a huge thing for me. I was like, where are our registrations for our trucks? Where are our insurance cards for our trucks?
Google Forms and Google Voice.
Google Forms, well, we use Google Voice a little bit, not that heavily, but we'll use it like where, do I want a stage spec? I shouldn't have to go in on a Sunday if somebody's like, oh, hey, I want to make a banner randomly.
look through an email, go through this, go through that. I open up my Google Doc. It's shared with like our printer. Like we have different folders that we share. Everyone in the office has it available. Every driver can get a link to send a PDF. I can send it from my phone at any time. And it's super, super helpful because 99.9% of people have a smartphone. How easy it is to open up your Google Doc. How user-friendly is that platform space. I'm not opening IntelliVid with my cell phone because the font will be this big.
The other fun too, it's Android and iOS.
Right.
Right. It's super easy to use. You can literally share anything. I know that helps. Another division of what we have in our company, we also do parade float rentals, and we have a large fleet of parade floats. So it's also helpful when you're doing different projects, especially with certain concerts and certain floats and certain events, where you just click everything in there, and they'll be like, "What's the status of that? Where's the graphic?" I'll say it's in the Google Doc, so we don't have to run that around. Google Doc is your friend, and it is free.
I got a question. Does anybody here know how to use Google Sketch?
Oh, I know how to use it.
Google SketchUp?
Yeah, Mike.
I will pay you to teach me that one because that's just over my head.
Right.
Alex is an expert in that. He's picked it up really well.
Okay.
There's a few. Scott uses it a lot too. We spoke about it. I mean, I'm okay at it. I can do things. I can edit in it, but I'm not like 100%. But I do know how to edit and change stuff. But I just want to add. I know Google Docs is something that Tish really helps to streamline stuff, and it really helps when you're working on like a big project that everyone needs to share. So if we're working on a big project and Tish spoke to a client and she goes in there and makes notes, the next time I go into notes or I go into that document, it puts everybody on the same page and it's all done in real time.
And I can also see when somebody messes up my document. Like you can also see if somebody touches it or fixes it. You can see the time that they did it. Everything is like time stamped, so it auto saves, which I also think is big. How many times do you get? So I feel like there's so many times where you get a phone call and then all of a sudden you're on this long conference call and then you forget to plug your computer in or your laptop in, and then something crashes and turns around, and then all of a sudden you lose everything what you were doing. Google Doc like auto saves like every 15 seconds, which is amazing. And also you can see when you're in there's times where we have for Pride, we have like a large spreadsheet of like the status of things. I know especially for this conference, I had an attendee list that Mike O'Reilly and I worked on as far as graphics and badges and things that have been worked on. And you know, you can color code and working it together. We can literally see in real time when somebody else is actually in the document at the same time.
I was just going to bring up Google Voice. Sometimes I will hire people to make phone calls, the old telemarketing. On Google Voice, one, you can give them a phone number and they can make calls from anywhere. But the other key thing is you can pull up a call history, so I no longer pay those people by the hour. I pay them by the call. And I can see how long the call is, because sometimes people will not work full hour. And then the other thing too is, say you want to put up a sign here that says, give me your comments, call. Well, I'll give you an example. MARTA, the big transit company in Atlanta, I went in, they've been my sponsor for years. I went in, the first thing she said was, well, we had one employee last year who didn't get in free with her ID. And I'm like, well, did she go the wrong entrance? I mean, one out of your 10,000 employees, are you kidding me? Anyway, so in the pitch, I immediately just said, you know what? I'm going to create a phone number purposely for your employees to call if they have any problem whatsoever. And I'll just make a Google Voice number. I can forward it to, Noelle in the office. But I didn't want to give her my office number or someone's cell phone number because, and that's something too, as you start to grow a little bit, you don't want people to use their own personal cell phone numbers with your contacts and your clients, because they might not be there as long as you are. So then the client has your CDL driver's cell phone number, not yours, and next year when that driver's not there, he's calling that number. So it's a cheap way to add a whole bunch of extensions to your and look like you have a phone system. So I don't let anybody use a personal cell phone. If I catch anyone handing out their cell phone number, that means they're looking for a job, and I'm like, well, you better get it going.
That's a really good topic that you just brought up. I'd like to get a woman's perspective on this, because I did have a conversation with a few people here at the conference. How do you handle a situation like that? Like, say, more so not an employee that's looking to do it, but somebody maybe that you sub-rented a job to. So you're sub-renting a job, and you maybe call a vendor and you say, hey, do you have this stage available this day? And you call your client back and you say, hey, I'm not available to do blah, blah, blah. And then that person reaches out directly to your client saying that they have a stage available. Or maybe you subbed out an event and the person that you subbed out is handing out their own card. I mean, what is the proper way to handle a situation? I'd like to hear from most of you up there.
A very successful man once told me, he was full of good sayings. He said, one, don't get your toothpicks messed up with my lumber yard. That was one. And he said, every action has a reaction. And then I said, I got summoned to his office one time, and literally, it was kind of funny. It was an office trailer, a fifth wheel trailer. He had his desk up in the slide out so he could look down on people. And so he was trying to get all the people together to work underneath him and book their rides in through him or whatever. And I just turned to him and said, sir, I'm just like AT&T. When you sign up with Verizon, I call. But I don't call just your people, I call everybody so that I don't pin out anybody. So I'm saying it from the flip side, and then I told him, I said, I just want to grow up and be just like you, sir. And then he didn't know what to say. So, but I do believe now that I'm getting older, don't get your toothpicks messed up in my lumberyard. Like a catty little conversation like that can just a little saying like that gets the point across without having to have the conversation. I guess I'm full of those because I don't want to upset somebody, but I want to get my point across.
Very good.
Oh, I got more little sayings. Eat some of them, I guess. No, this stuff happens all the time. I just feel like it's all about the intent. If you're handing out your card, like what are you doing it for? Are you doing it to get business? Other than if we're in a network and we're trying to help each other out, I feel that relationships should be already discussed, and you should be familiar with who you're doing business with. And for me personally, if I own my own business, at the first sign of you doing me wrong, that's it. No more business. I will remain friends with you, but I unfortunately we can't do business anymore because it would be a business decision. But for me, I don't like to mix personal feelings and business together. So that's my opinion.
Sometimes they say I'm kind of mean as far as certain things. It's like fool me once, shame on you, fool me twice, shame on me. I always say a lot in the office, like it's not personal, it's business. Where there's times where like it's not like I don't like you as a person, I just don't want to work with you. It's like the same way like, hey, I like you as a friend, but I wouldn't want to marry you, like that type of thing. It's just, you just have to be really careful as far as like who you deal with your business and like even with who you network with. In my personal life and my business life, I've always said where I hate the saying where they say like, when you say, oh, this person was not great with me and worked with me and gave out their card and did shady things, and then someone says, well, they didn't do it to me. Not yet. They haven't done shit.
Or that they know.
Or that you know of. And I'm also a big believer, and I say a lot, that the longer you hang out with shit, you start to sink. That kind of thing. So that's why I was about networking wise, like if it smells like a fire, it's probably a fire. Like if you feel like something's wrong, always go with your gut with something like that. If you can afford to have somebody take a little bit of your business, but you never know, because it might be one job today and then 6 months later they're taking your whole business.
Sometimes you have to dance with the devil. Sometimes.
Yeah, sometimes you have to dance with the devil, and a good way to think of it. You just know, I know who you are, and now how can I use that to my advantage? Like people know me, they know I'm not gonna I can't do anything, and I know they use that to their advantage.
So anybody have any questions for our panel? Go ahead, guys.
Comment to what you were just asking about regarding people taking business from you. Non-disclosure, non-compete, and let's say non-solicitation. You can have a non-solicitation agreement with contractors. You know, they don't have to be employees. They can just sign on the agreement. They have to agree. Once they agree, they sign on the line. Now they can go out and they can collect money from you. They can collect a paycheck. Non-disclosures, non-solicitations. You don't have to have a non-compete if your state doesn't allow non-competes. So
But
just.
I will say, in our industry, how many people here have attorneys review every single one of your contracts?
Yeah, we're not big enough to have attorneys on retainer to review in the legal department to back up all of our contracts. Pretty much every single one of our written contracts can be broken. And so, well, it's not a mistake. Pretty much, if someone's got an attorney, they can break it. So I always look at it, I've had it done to me both ways. I've stolen a contract from somebody. This was not in the stage business, by the way. I've stolen a contract from somebody, and then I've had them stolen from me. I could spend my years battling it, or I could be like, damn, he did a good job. You know what I'm saying? And it's just a business.
You pick your battles.
Yeah, you pick your battles. And that's what I'm saying. Unless, I think all the non-competes and all those are fantastic to be prepared and to look good, but there is to a point where you know who they are. And I'm even saying this from clients that are renting your stage. You can have the 15 addendums that say no duct tape and $75 charge for this and blah, 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 blah. They don't read it. And it's really as good as your relationship is. So, and also, just like you learn from, right here, when you went to the islands, it's as good as the relationship, right? You can have all the fine-tooth legal jargon, it doesn't matter.
But having something in writing like that.
Oh yeah, you should have something in writing.
Will defer 9/10 of the action. Yeah, you may have that one that has the legal, or you may have one. When I got divorced, let's talk about this. I made my wife live within 30 miles from me in order to give her custody. I knew that wasn't legal. I knew that she could have that overturned very easily, but that bought me 2 more years to soften the separation. So having things in writing, right or wrong, would still help protect you.
Yes, I'm not saying don't have.
But you also have to keep it simple. Too much writing in your time.
Correct. That's what I'm trying to say. Like, there's the spirit of the deal, and then there's the deal. And in our industry, since we don't have a legal department, I mean, maybe you do. I mean, that'd be great. If you don't have a legal department to really scan everything, you better make sure the spirit of the deal is laid out.
Yeah. And I feel like I've had we spoke about this a little bit. I feel like when I first started working for mobile stages, like, do you need something for your, not even speaking about people that are going to compete against you, as far as your like employees, as part as your drivers, as part as like a certain like code of conduct, not just like a non-disclosure type of thing. And you will get people that will say, well, wait, what are you trying to say, that I'm going to do something like that? Well, if you're not, then sign it. If there's no, like, if someone gets offended, some people just get offended, people are offended. But there are times where it's like, well, if it's not a big deal and you would never do that to me, why is there such a big problem for you to sign that?
And I do this with some of my broker deals. I ask them, I said, okay, I get this much money if I don't have to talk to the client. You handle it, I'm literally just a flunky for you. And now if I have to talk to the client, I get more money. Because now I have to answer the phone when you call Joe Schmo Staging, and I need to wear, and then I say I want the Joe Schmo t-shirts, and I want the whatever, because I don't want you upset with me.
Yeah, I've got this interesting thing. I had a company, and I had a company before Steve did, and so for years Steve worked, I always say with me, but with me, sort of for me, interesting, you know, whatever. It was I say with me, or more to the point, it was for me for a while, and then people couldn't believe that I was like, oh well, he's starting to separate himself into a different company, and I said, well, no, yeah, I mean, I can't stop him. And more to the point, it'd be silly for me to try to stop him. He wanted to build his own mobile stage. Now, is that stage going to be competing with mine? Well, not really, because he knows the gigs, and we have two separate companies, two completely separate companies that share a Google Calendar, that shares a stock list of stuff. So he can just log on and see whether or not I'm using this mixer, that set of speakers, or these subs, whatever, and he plans on it, almost without talking to me. And then in the busy season, we call each other 5 times, 6 times a day for sure. But that's one thing and it's always, I give my competitor all the information he could possibly have. And certainly Mike is not a competitor of mine. He has mobile stages, he sends me gigs. But what's interesting is I had a client, and I never want to take anything from anyone, but I always let people know, if you're failing, you're going to fail on your recorder, and I might get that gig next year, but it's because the client wants me instead of you. And I'll tell you the whole time, hey man, your client came up to me and asked me for a bid. Like, I'm on the sound. I'm doing the stage, you're doing the sound. I love working with other sound companies. Your client came up to me and asked me for a bid on the sound. If you're going to charge him $1,000, I'm going to charge him $1,100. You let me know what you're charging him. Now, I'm asking them for all the information. I'm going to charge them $100 more, and if they choose me, it's because they don't like you, and that's cool. We've done that with our competitors. I like for everyone to have all the information. I let the cards fall where they may. I had to call Mike and say, hey, I just wanted to let you know, we just did a gig for you. He's got a nationwide tour of whatever, 10 stops, and we do 3 of them or something like that out west. And I said, just fair warning, like, my guy came back and he said that they loved everything. We did a great job. Just wanted to give you the heads up that we did a good job. And they actually said, yeah, we kind of liked you better than the last gig. I was like, well, go back to what you did on the last gig, because I need to tell him the information. And then he said, well, yeah, they were unhappy because they thought we were bringing the distro or blah, 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 and some electrical things. So but I had to give him that information, because at the end of the day, if he doesn't get that gig next year because they got so upset over I don't even know what, right? I want that gig.
It's all about the intent.
Absolutely. And so I had to tell Mike, maybe I think they said something they weren't happy about, and then he knew what it was, and he's like, yeah, we got it all taken care of, and we need to make sure they're all happy, glad they were happy on your thing, and blah, blah, blah. So everybody gets all the information so that everyone can work best, and then, whoever wins, wins. And nobody can be offended because I gave you the information. I'm asking you directly for the information. You're going to try to be secretive with me? I'll beat you. I'll still beat you. If you want to be competitive with me, you're going to lose. You're going to work with me, and everyone's going to do great, then that's the way it works with me.
I use the example of this. I've got a sound company that rents our stage 40 times a year. Well, this past year did it 42 times. I gave them the challenge of 40, and I think I told you about this. I said, if you rent it more than 40 times, you get a vacation in Mexico. I accidentally said that at a Christmas party. He rented it 42 times. So, he has the rock bottom price. I view the discount that I give him as what I would be paying a salesperson to make calls. So that's why I said, if I don't have, and to follow up with the client and be nice with the client, I don't have to talk to the client, and you just tell me to be there, put it up, and I go home. It's cheaper, but if you want me to manage your client, it's more. Because, like I said, time is money, and that is a value that costs. So that's where, like you were saying, I don't hold other people. I would love all you guys. I will rent my stage out the super cheapest there is, as long as I don't have to call anybody, because then I don't have to have someone calling them all. Because we do, I think last year, 365 events. Yeah, that's a lot of people to listen to their problems.
All right, so how about a big round of applause for our awesome panel up here? I think you look at very nicely. Elizabeth, Adriana, Becky, Michelle, and Diane.
little different industry than me.
No, it was great, very informative. You know, it's just always, we try to change it up and do things different, and it's always good to get a female's perspective within our industry. So I think it worked out really nicely. So okay, the next thing that we're going to do is anybody that's interested in bidding on the stage, what we're going to do is we're going to have the stage, they're going to open it up so anybody wants to inspect it. We're probably going to do that for the next 15 or 20 minutes or so, and then we're going to go and continue with the bid process.